Shavua Tov Shiftei. I want to share a short Torah thought with all of you. When Avraham is sitting outside his tent, recovering from his Brit Milah, Hashem comes to visit him, and he appears to Avraham, and then suddenly, during his communion with God, Avraham sees guests coming. He jumps out to meet them. What happens next is very interesting. The Torah tells us that he talks to someone, and he says to someone, can you just wait a second? He asks them to wait. The problem is, we can't tell who he's talking to. The Torah says, Vayomar Adonai, imna matzati chen beinecha al na ta'avor me'al avdecha. He says, he uses this word Adonai, which usually would refer to Hashem, except over here it's written Aleph Daled Nun Yud, and not Yud Kei Vav Kei. And Rashi actually comments and says, who is he talking to? L'gadol shebahem amar. He's talking to the greatest among the three guests. V'kram kulam Adonim, and he's calling them all Adonim, sir. He's saying, wait a second, probably because he wants to finish communing with God. But then Rashi says, Davar Acher, another opinion. Kodesh, it's Lashon Kodesh, it's actually talking to Hashem. He's telling Hashem, I know that we were in the middle of something, but can you please wait a second while I go deal with these Bedouins? And the Gemara that Rashi is quoting says that we learn from here that Gadol Achnasat Orchim Yoter Me'akbalat Pnei Ashchina. That Achnasat Orchim is actually more important than even Kabbalat Pnei Ashchina, than greeting the Shechina itself. Now, there's a lot to say about that point, but I actually wanted to make two separate points tangential to this. Very, very important Ma'amar Chazal. The first is a comment about Onkelos. Onkelos actually picks a side. Over here, when he's translating the word Aleph Daled Nun Yud, Onkelos actually uses Hashem's name. And so we see that he chooses the position of Lashon Kodesh. Now what I find so fascinating about this is normally, Onkelos has the option to interpret it how he likes. But in this specific case, I thought it was very interesting. The Gemara in Shavuot is where we find this machloket, about whether or not it's Lashon Kodesh and Lashon Chol. And the position that is Lashon Kodesh is actually the position of Rabbi Yehoshua. Okay? So, Onkelos is paskening, or he is translating, according to Rabbi Yehoshua. Doesn't seem that important, except if you look in the Gemara in Megillah. The Gemara in Megillah that tells the story of how Onkelos, who was a non-Jew, became Jewish, and then eventually he translated the entire Torah, and it's his translation, which is basically the official translation of the whole Torah. Who taught Onkelos how to read the Torah? The Gemara says Rabbi Yehoshua and Rabbi Lazar. So we see over there that it's actually quite important who your teachers are earlier in life. They can have a great impact. The second point that I wanted to make is actually a hat tip to Mark Temelis, who told me a few years ago, and I've never forgotten it since he told me. I forget exactly who he quoted. I think it was Rabbi Bernstein in England. He says, you know what we really learn from here? It's quite amazing that we don't know who Avraham is talking to. How is it that there are two opinions? He's either talking to a regular person, flesh and blood, for all he knows, he doesn't know that it's an angel yet, or he's talking to Melech Malchei Amlachim. How is it that we can't tell? After all, for most of us, it's quite natural. We talk to different people in many different ways. The way we talk to a spouse is not the same when we talk to a child. It's not the same when we talk to a friend, or talk to a boss, or talk to an employee, or a parent. With everybody, we have different personalities. We have different vocal tones. We tell jokes, or we're serious. Everybody is different depending on who they're talking to. That's natural. But Avraham is not like that. Avraham has a tremendous unity of personality, a unity of voice. He's someone who, no matter who he's talking to, doesn't even matter if it's a person or if it's God himself, he speaks to everybody in the same voice. And I think that is an incredibly powerful midah that we can learn a lot from. Shavua Tov.